Hi, my name is Juben Gruel, head editor of Tekken5.com, and today we're here to talk to you about one of Nokia's latest inventions, the Nokia Lumia 925, which is of course sort of like an advancement of the Lumia 920, which would be this model right over here. So without further ado, let's get to it. So the Lumia 925 is sort of different from the 920 because it loses most of its polycarbonate shell and instead adds a steel casing around the side. What that allows them to do is make it much thinner as well as a lot lighter, which is what everyone wanted from the beginning. Now, credit to the 920 because it was a first of its generation, start of a new trend, but this is the phone that has kind of changed it all. The feeling on this phone, very different, very light, and it actually feels good in the hand because of the metal grip. To give you an example of it, I've had this phone for about 6 months now, and all my friends have seen it. They've seen the camera capabilities, but the fact that it's so heavy, to them at least compared to their iPhones and Android phones, as well as thick, puts them off it. When I took this out with me the other night, people were in love with this phone. They thought it was an amazing looking phone, and maybe Nokia had a way back in, after all. So obviously, good credit to Nokia where credit is due in that sense. Now, like I said, it does lose its polycarbonate shell, but that's not the only upgrade it has. Realistically, most of the internals are the same, aside from the obvious AMOLED screen, which is a lot nicer, a lot crisper than the LCD Pure Motion HD, which was on the Lumia 920. Now, this does have the Pure Motion HD as well, but they've just moved to AMOLED clear back display instead of the LCD. What that also means is that you've got better viewing angles, battery lasts better because the blacks are deeper, it saves energy. Furthermore, as you can see, there's a small little hump on the camera over here. What that means is Nokia have actually added a single extra ring. So the 920 over here, just stand that up. So the 920 over here actually had a 5-ring setup, and this has a 6-ring setup. Hence, there's a small little hump because it's gone thinner and they've added an extra ring. Now, that may annoy some people. I don't know. I think it's okay. A flat design would have been nice, but for whatever it is, the hump's not that big. You barely notice it, and at least you know where the camera is, so you never have your finger on top of it. That's actually one great thing. Another thing is they seem like they've improved the front-facing camera a little bit over the 920. That's a good thing because the 920 front-facing camera is not quite the best. Could do with some extra, megapixels, a bit of software boosting, and the megapixels is the same here, 1.2 I believe, front-facing camera, but they have boosted the software or the lens has been improved somehow, and the quality is better. So main difference between the 920 and the 925 is that this has a different shell, aluminium build. It's also 139 grams versus 185 grams on the 920. Big difference over there. As well as the fact that 10.7 millimeters on the Lumia 920 versus 8.5 on here. Big chunk taken off. And this is about as thin as the Samsung Galaxy S3, nearly as thin as the Galaxy S4. Not quite in the range of the 5, but the 5 is a lot smaller, it uses glass, so on and so forth. So from the hardware point of view, I have to say it's quite a nice phone. People love it all around what I've seen. Even people who have iPhones, who have Galaxy S4s or HTC Ones, people do like the design. The lightness of this makes it very, very efficient in the sense of you don't feel that weight. You don't feel like you're being dragged down. Maybe a little bit, some people think that. I mean, it's not that heavy when you think about it. One negative thing I can think about this is that once you move from a 920 to a 925, you feel like you've lost a little bit of weight. You miss the feel of the weight of the 920. So you know you have a phone in your hand. Unfortunately, that's not the case here with the 925, but something you can get used to as you go along with it. But let's have a look a bit closer at the phone in a second. So as you can see here, I've got a comparison between the Lumia 920 over here and the 925 on this side. the 925, and I'm not entirely sure how well this is coming through on the video, and I hope it does, but as you can see, the 925, or maybe not, the 925 is actually, because of the AMOLED, it pops a lot more on the screen. Blacks are deeper, colors are brighter, and while the LCD is not so bad on the 920, it really does not stand up to the AMOLED on the screen. Obviously, people might have preference. It might be too bright and poppy for some people, so the 920 goes in that sense. But once you've gone to an AMOLED screen, it's really hard to get back to the actual LCD. And once I have to send this review unit back, I'm going to struggle to get back to it, obviously. But hopefully by then the Lumia 1020 will be out. Now, software same side of things, you're going to have exactly the same software between the two. It's the exact same phone in essence. It's made by Nokia. You're going to have the exact same apps. You're going to have the exact same app store. You're going to have the exact same configuration in that sense. At this time, both of them are actually packing the the Amber update, so they're both on the same page in that sense. The next thing to do would be to actually test out the camera as well as the video camera to have a comparison. I've taken both these phones now to concerts, and from what I can tell, the 925's recording, sound recording and video recording seems to be a little better than the 920's. I'm not sure why that is, maybe perhaps because of the ring, maybe perhaps they've enhanced the microphone or added an extra microphone. From the top of my head, I can't remember. Not a problem at all though. Resolution-wise, they're both the exact same 1280 by 768p, which basically means a PPI of 332. Now, from this angle, you can actually tell as I've zoomed in, the viewing angles seem a lot better on the AMOLED as compared to the 920 on the LCD. That's just a sort of advantage of the AMOLED over the LCD. That viewing angles will be better. So, I mean, if you're in a car and you use a GPS, well, perhaps the AMOLED might be better for you, but in the other sense, the 920 is a bit cheaper because it's been out since probably October last year, or depending on which country you're from then. It will be cheaper, it will be easier to come by. Hopefully they haven't discontinued it where they're selling, it's not as far as I know. And in terms of the 925, it is the newer version. It is slightly newer. It came out probably a month ago to 2 months ago, depending on where you live, and it will cost you roughly $100 more at this point, maybe $200 depending on where you are. If you're looking at a final talk in terms of hardware between the two, I'm definitely going to go ahead and suggest a 925. Maybe a little bit more expensive, but the AMOLED screen, the lightness, the thickness, the weight difference between the two, as well as the extra ring on the camera, which does add a slight difference to pictures, does seem to be working in my favor in that sense. So in terms of this, between the two of them, I'm going to go ahead and say no to the 920 and keep the 925. Now just a quick rundown of the actual software itself and the hardware. So now you have a closer look, you can actually see it's quite thin. It is solid steel, a magnesium alloy on the sides, and that basically means that they've been able to cut the weight off and make it thinner. Like I was saying before, slight hump on the camera, they're very unnoticeable. Difference being here is that the size of the ring, and I'm not sure you can see it, makes it seem like the entire back face is the camera, when it's not. It's just the middle section in the middle. They've probably done that so it doesn't snap off, or so it's more aesthetically pleasing or something. And I've moved the dual LED flash from the side to the top. So I'll just have a quick comparison. So there, as you can see, slightly different. Does look like a much bigger camera. It's really not. They're the exact same megapixels, just with a slightly different ring, extra ring, sorry, on a 925 for that better daylight shot. And obviously motion works just as quick as any other phone out there. You've got the nice smoothness to Windows Phone as with any other Windows Phone out there. And if you're thinking of picking this up in the near future, I would suggest wait till the 1020, which is the 41 megapixel phone, comes out in your country, because that will most probably mean a price drop. If you can't wait and you'd like a cheaper phone, 920 is your guy. If you don't mind buying a phone now, 925 from a Windows Phone. That is the Windows Phone range, obviously. As far as things go from me here, I'm Jubin Grewal. Thanks for watching. I'd like to thank Nokia India for providing me with the 925 review unit. And I'll be having that for the next few weeks, so I'll be able to take a few picture comparison shots between the two of them. Fortunately, I don't have any Android phones or iPhones on me right now, so I won't be able to make a comparison between the two. Hopefully by the time my 1020 arrives, I will be able to do a three-way comparison between the three of them. Other than that, thank you for watching. Apologize for the long video, and it's good to be back.